Pam_React from Pam Entertainment TV. This is my channel that I do my movies and my television series review. Welcome, 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 welcome. Make sure as you all are coming in, make sure that you all hit that like button. And if you like what you see, subscribe. I am trying to get to 200 subscribers on this channel. Please help me get to 200 subscribers on this channel. Once I get 200 subscribers on this channel, I will go live. Also, too, let's see. This out. So, y'all, let's get into this Wonderman series. I took some notes up until a certain point, and then I'm going to talk about it. This is going to be a spoiler-ish. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing for you, but I am going to talk about some things in this some things in this series. Uh, my thoughts and my concerns. So we are reviewing Wonderman, which was a 8-part series on Disney Plus. This is part of the Marvel group. So after we watch this series, and like I said, this is a spoiler-ish. If you're not familiar with my spoiler-ish, I will not spoil the whole thing. I'm just going to give you some information and then give you some highlights and things like that. So the first episode, let me give you the names of the episodes, all the episodes, so we can be clear about what we're talking about. All right. So the first episode was called Matinee. The second episode was called Self Tape. The third episode was called Pacoma. The fourth episode was called Doorman. The fifth episode was called Found Footage. The sixth episode was called Callback. The seventh episode was called Captain Friedman. And the eighth episode was called The Yucca Valley. Okay? So Wonder Man is a superhero. From what I've seen in this series, he doesn't seem in the beginning to either. I couldn't figure out if he could control his powers or not. But let's get into it. So the young man is named Simon, and I don't know if I wrote his name down. I just started saying Simon Williams, and so it starts off with we see Simon as a young boy. He likes this series film called Wonderman. He is an actor. He's struggling. He comes upon Trevor. And if you don't remember Trevor was the Mandarin. He played the Mandarin, but he ended up being a copycat. And he was playing a terrorist on TV, but his actions and words were causing people to die and things to blow up. It was a whole lot. And also, Trevor was the same person in Shang-Chi. Now, when this came on, because with Marvel, with the blip, there is a certain level of timeline. I couldn't figure out when this timeline it was. Was this prior to Trevor interacting with Shang-Chi? Was this? I know it had to be after the Iron Man series, but I couldn't tell you if it happened before he interacted with Shang-Chi or after. Was he familiar with the blip or not? We didn't get any kind of clarification as to the time period that he's operating. That's one thing. The second thing, and like I said, this is a series overview because we're not going to be in here long. I didn't get what the Tron played. Trevor, when it came on, I was trying to figure out who was Trevor working for, and he's working for the Department of Damages. You remember when during the Avengers and during Spider-Man, the Department of Damages was set to clean up all that Chitauri mess. So it seems like, and also when you watch Ms. Marvel, the Department of Damages had kind of morphed into people who they felt had superhero powers that was uncontrollable. They would pick them up and they would put them in. They would put them in detention because they didn't want them out with those superpowers. And you remember Kamala Khan's family, the people from Gens, whatever they were called, the other dimension, they broke out of that prison, which is from the Department of Defense. So apparently, after all of this stuff is going on with the Chitaris now, they haven't opened their mouth to say that people are mutants, whatever it is. They're not saying it. They're just saying superpowered people, and superpowered people are dangerous. And so the Captain America exists in this world. All of these will different, right? The one thing, because I don't remember, because I will tell you, as I got to episode 7 and episode 8, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I was clocked out. I think there was more action and stuff happening in those things, but it took so damn long to get to. I will tell you, this was a very slow moving. Yahya Abdul Mateen, who played Simon Williams, I will say, as far as him acting and giving us depth on this character, I think he did a decent job. I think Trevor, the guy that plays Trevor, they did a decent job as well. But like I said, they can only operate as good as the material. And this series did nothing to make me understand who Wonderman is. The way this series was set up, it was almost like some kind of drama. It didn't give me superhero feel because we did not get an origin story, a real how did he get his powers. I still don't know how he got it. Maybe they said it in episode, because I just started cleaning my house between 7 and 8, and I was just coming back in to see what was going on. I'll go back and watch it, but I didn't tell. But the show, pretty much from the episode 1 through 3, was more Trevor. We didn't know nothing about Simon. Simon is this broody actor. He gives me Spectrum, almost on the spectrum is what he gives me. He also gives me an introvert, very quiet, stuff like that. But they never gave us anything. I don't know how he got his powers. I had to go to the Marvel Wikipedia just to see how this man got his powers. He just had them. He just had his powers. There was no build up to that. And I really wish that Marvel stopped trying to Sony us with these superheroes. Stop trying to give us these superheroes and all of their flaws, and try to be real in depth with these characters. Just tell us how they got the superpowers and whether or not they're going to use these powers for good or not. Because none of that happened. We spent 3 episodes, which really gave me, it was really the Trevor show. Wonderman was a supporting actor in his own thing. It didn't make any sense to me. So then we see that Trevor, and then the whole premise about Trevor. If the man's out and the man's out of prison, how was the Department of Damage Control going to put him back into prison? I mean, they did, but that seemed like a hollow threat, seeing that he's already out. You see what I'm saying? That whole premise, it would have been better if they had said that he had been on the run and they caught up with him. I didn't understand the Department of Damages. Why didn't you just hire somebody to follow him around? Why did you need Trevor? I don't understand what the purpose of Trevor was. But Trevor took up a lot of stuff. So we got very little information. You see that his brother, Simon's brother, is a little overbearing. And it's not really overbearing. He's just feeling like, since their father died, I don't even know how their father died. Did he mess around and accidentally hurt his father? I'm not sure. Like I said, I checked out on episode 7 and 8. I saw some stuff go on, and I saw him fly away with Trevor, break him out of prison. But it moved too slow. And here we go. Didn't tell us how Simon acquired. I didn't see how he acquired his powers. Why was it such an adventure to record a tape? We spent a whole episode of them them running back and forth trying to record a tape for this audition. It was just like wait, that was a waste. It didn't feel like a superhero movie. It reminded me of like really bad episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm. One thing I said, Yahya Abdul-Mateen favors me with because every now and then it looked like I was waiting for him to sing uh what's that Dreams and Nightmares or whatever that the song is. Trevor seemed like the lead character. And again, as I said before, I was asking the question, is this before or after the blip or before or after Shang-Chi? Because I couldn't figure the time frame of what this is because Trevor threw me off. They slowly start telling us a little bit about Simon, that there was an accident when he was 13 with the fire in the stove that messed up the kitchen. They talked about him being on set and a porta potty exploded. You can tell that he is someone who is very concerned with details because he would lose acting roles because he's a great actor, but he would lose acting roles because he was so into the minutiae of everything that he would just waste time and put things. He would waste time. Simon would waste time trying to get the motivations of the character, and that wasn't working. And so he would waste time. Like I said, he was a good actor, but he never could get to his craft because he would waste time trying. He was trying to be the actor, the writer, the director, the producer, all of that when his only job was to do the acting. Strained relationship with his family. He won Trevor over, and I think it's because they were doing soliloquies and monologues and things like that together because they're both actors and they're sensitive about their stuff, so they won each other. So even though Trevor was working for the Department of Damage Control, Simon kind of won him over when he realized that he's a good dude. But that. Let me see. We figure out that Simon understands that he has powers. Like I said, I don't know how Simon got these powers, but apparently he has been trying to suppress his powers because we find out in episode 4. Because when I first saw episode 4, here's my thing: the doorman touches some goo. First of all, you had a episode 4 encapsulated by itself was a better origin story and an ending of what happened to that character than we saw through the whole thing. We should have just seen episode 4, and that would have been it. That was a better story as a standalone episode. It was a better episode. We saw how this person became who he was. We saw him use those powers the way he used them, and we saw that the downfall of him using these powers. And I'm talking about Dorn. Because when it first came on and they were doing all this stuff, this was my notes. I told you I got my notes. And when they had the fire at the club and they had to go through Dorman, I was like, what kind of freaky ass shit is this? Freaky stuff is this? You got people passing through you, going through dimensions and whatnot. That was some freaky stuff. I was like, mm, mm, mm. See, at that point when I watched this is what I said. Nothing makes sense. What is the point of this episode? Is he an idol of something? And then we started to figure out what was going on. So in episode 4, and so like I said, this is a spoilerless episode. This man, Dorman, Damar Davis, he ends up getting powers. He worked as a bouncer at a club, a doorman at a club, at a famous nightclub. At the end of his shift, he goes outside to put the trash everybody puts the trash out, there's some black goo that's leaking from the trash can. Now, I think, ain't nobody bending down to touch no black goo that's dripping on the ground and causing big old holes. And plus, even if the trash can is full, you just throw that trash up in there and going back inside and going about your business. But he doesn't do that. He touches the goo, and the goo sends him through these dimensions and portals and things like that. He ends up coming out of the other side of this portal. Now he has these powers that things and objects can pass through him. That's the power that he has. So he gets there is this already this star. I guess he's a singer and actor or whatever. He usually comes to the club. What's his name? Gad. Gad comes to the club. Dorman. He was really nice to Dorman. He saw an opportunity that he could, and he can make money, and Dorman can make money. And so he asked Dorman to do some acting. Dorman does it. He has a little catchphrase. And, he's going along. He's making his money. And then this is why this episode is so important. Because let me back up. In episode 3, Simon mentions Dorman. Now, apparently Trevor doesn't know who Dorman was and why Dorman is so important to him. But we find out why. Because in filming a scene with Gad, there was a stunt to where the objects are supposed to pass through Dorman, and because they're doing the scene, and they're doing this in the scene that they're doing. It's a heist, and so they're in a truck. So once they get to a certain position on the highway, Gad pushes the stuff through Dorman so that they'll drop outside of the truck. So then I guess somebody's going to come pick the stuff up, right? So everybody asks Damar Davis, aka Dorman, was he okay with the stunts? Now, mind you, he had been drinking at that time because again, he's like an overnight success, and then he's an overnight success because of a catchphrase. Like the Dr. Pepper, baby. He gets viral, and he gets famous because of the catchphrase. Now he's feeling some kind of way about it because whereas he wants to do the best he can to get good deals and do acting and stuff like that, he knows he's not an actor, but people are making fun of him and his craft. Okay. So let's get back to this stunt. He does this stunt, and like I said, they were passing the bags and stuff through him. Gad gets this idea. Now I'm going to go through you. So Gad goes through his body, but he don't come out on the other side because Damar had been drinking. So as Gad was going through him, he ends up upchucking, vomiting, and then Gad disappears. He never comes back out on the other side. So what happened is it was such a big deal. Gad has been missing ever since. Nobody knows where he's at. So they ended up taking Delmar. The Department of Damages took Delmar away. And so Hollywood said no more superpowered people will be able to act and do stunts again because, the man has disappeared inside this man. And Delmar oh, freaky stuff. So going through, and then, like I said, it's a slow burn. He finally gets the job as Wonderman, but there's a reporter that comes and asks all these questions about him and all of these little things. He gets upset. He blows up the set on Wonderman. Trevor is covering for him, and it ends up that Department of Damages comes for Trevor because Trevor is not going to testify about. He's not going to testify about Simon's power. So it ends up he gets the role. It's a big hit. Everything is good, but I guess he's feeling kind of bad because Trevor has just helped him, and now Trevor's in jail. And at the end of episode 8, he breaks Trevor out of jail. But we don't see him really use a lot of his powers except for destruction. We don't see an arc arc coming around from, using great powers come great responsibility. None of that. None of that. Overall, my mutual Illuminati has said this over and over and over and over and over again, and I just gonna have to echo it. Kevin Feige needs to get his ass up out, because if this is the best you can do with the characters that you have with Marvel, when you go back and you read Marvel's wiki site and you type in Wonderman, and what I read in there had a better art and had a better thing about who this man would be versus this right here. Yeah, he is an actor, but he had other things going on. The issues and problems that he had with his brother, what I read in Wiki, Marvel's Wiki thing, was better. Their father had this company. According to the Wiki, he has Simon to run it. Simon messes around and gets embezzles money from the company. People find out because he embezzled money to do another deal. The people find out, and then Simon goes to jail. Baron Zemo, some kind of way, however, he gets hold of Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo was doing all these tests on him. And this is how he gets those ionic powers and becomes Wonder Man. Totally better story. A better way to flesh that whole thing out than this mess that we got. I am sorry. In my opinion, this was a waste of money. You could have had Wonder Man come out on just be a side character for all of this. But y'all let me know what you think. I am not, and what really makes me mad is because you have Marvel has this thing about taking these great young black actors and putting them in roles, but you have the sorriest writers for these actors. The man that plays Trevor, and I can't think of his name right up there, and I'm not going to look it up. I know that he is a good actor. Hell, I think he played Gandhi, if I'm not mistaken. I know that this man is a good actor. Both of these are good actors, and you can tell they were that scene where they had in the episode where they were going back and forth and monologuing different parts of different plays, I guess, that they like, or different monologues that they like. You can tell that back and forth. You felt that, I felt that camaraderie. But this was 8 episodes, y'all. 8 episodes. It didn't start getting interesting. It just was so slow. By the time I got to episode 7, I had just kind of checked out. I was just in and out. This wasn't it, though. I feel like I wasted a lot of hours watching this. But y'all tell me what y'all think of it. All right, people, we do this we won't do it every week because of the fact that they dropped all these episodes at one time. I reviewed the whole thing. Y'all tell me what y'all think about it down in the comment section. If there's something that I've missed or misrepresented, y'all put it down in the comments below. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand it. I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.